Okay, welcome to the tutorial for the new listing agreement. This listing agreement was modified this year. We're going to use the exclusive right of sale listing agreement transaction broker, which is the ERS 20B revised in August of 2024. You can see it highlighted on my screen here. I am using, for the other tutorials, I have used our paperless pipeline because we have our own forms that are fillable. This one, we do not have our own form. There's no need for it. It is the FARBAR form that you'll find on Form Simplicity or Transaction Desk. And you can go ahead and use that as a fillable form. And I'm going to click on that. I'm just going to do a standalone. Normally you'd have a part of the transaction here, but I'm using the standalone form, which will not have any of the information filled out yet. Okay, so this is where you put the seller's name, Bob and Cindy Jones, let's say, and the brokerage, which will be FRI. The authority to sell the property, this is when you do the dates. I want to explain to you guys again. The dates on here are not the dates that they sign at the bottom. The listing does not start when they sign. The listing starts whenever date I put here. So today being December 4th, I might start this. I've got to get this signed. I've got to get pictures taken. I might start this on December 10th. Okay. The listing does not start today. The listing starts on December 10th because I have to have it in within 24 business hours of one business day of whenever this agreement says. It's when I have to have it on MLS. Okay. And I will make it for 6 months or whatever. I'll go here. That is May, not June. That is May. I'll make it till May 9th. Okay. That is 6 months. All right. So description of property, legal description, that'll all be filled out by the form if you guys are doing this right. If you don't know how to do that, I'll teach you that on another day, but that's pretty simple to do. Property is not currently occupied by a tenant. If it is occupied, the lease expires. When you put that date in there, the price, cash, conventional, at VA, FHA, whatever offers you're taking for that. If you're doing seller financing, assumption of existing mortgage, you're seeing a lot more of this now with rates being up. You're seeing VA loans assumed, etc. Broker obligations, MLS, that changed a little bit with this. It tells it that's beneficial now. It used to say that it's required, but now it's beneficial. Seller does or does not authorize the broker to display the property on the MLS. Display the property on the internet except the street address. That's not usually useful, but sometimes it is if you have protected clients. You guys know about that for their occupation, judges and law enforcement, etc. Use a lockbox system to show the property and access the property. Withhold all offers, withhold verbal offers, whatever you guys do. I typically just withhold the all offers once a seller accepts a sales contract, but you guys can do whatever you agree to with the seller. Seller does not authorize the automated estimate of the market value of the listing. I get a lot of questions on this. If the Zestimate or any of these automated estimates of the property are higher than what's going to be the listing price, I recommend you let them go. Leave them up there. If it's lower, then get rid of it, right? Seller does not authorize third parties to write comments or reviews. I always do that because nobody writes a great review for property they're not buying and sending an offer on. So we don't want them going in and saying, nice property, but terrible neighborhood. Backyard too small. Seller's asking too much for it. You know, whatever it is, it's never going to be something positive. This is the best property we've ever seen. We just didn't want to write an offer. Nobody ever writes that. So I always do that. Here I write none. Because it says make all legally required disclosures, including all fact materially affect property's value and are not readily observed or known by the buyer. Seller certifies represents seller knows of no such material facts other than write none because they're going to disclose everything that they know of. So there's nothing that we're not disclosing is what we're getting on right here. Nothing that we're not putting on the seller's property disclosure, whatever. If there is something that maybe they're not doing a seller's property disclosure, go ahead and do that here, but make sure that you share this. This is a form that nobody else is going to see. This is between the broker and the seller. Make sure you share anything they put here. That's why I put none. If they put something here, if we decide to put something and I don't disclose it on MLS, then I'm going to be at fault for that. So let's make sure we get a seller's property disclosure that discloses everything that is not obvious and is unobservable and of material value. A leak in the pool that they have to keep refilling the pool every 3 days, which would not be observable to a buyer, is something that I need to disclose. Okay. Compensation. This is where it gets tricky, and this is the change, the big change here. Compensation. where this is related to 10A. This is 8. It used to be 9. Now it is 10. Now 9 is just a notice to seller regarding buyer's brokers. This is just disclosure, disclosure, disclosure. These are not set by law, etc. We can negotiate these now. That's all that thing says. Compensation to buyer's broker. So this is related to 8A. This is when either old school, how we've always been doing it, is 6%, and this you would put 6% in 8A, and you would click 10A and put 3%, right? Or an amount, but it's always been pretty much, I mean, I'm generalizing, but it's always been 5 and 2.5 or 6 and 3 or whatever it is, right? And this is the way it's always been done. So this is seller's broker to buyer's broker. This is a seller authorizing their broker, which is a listing broker, to offer compensation to a buyer's broker in the amount of whatever it is. That is how we've always done it. That's the old listing agreement. That's how it was. Now, though, sellers can negotiate that based on whatever they want. So when they do that, when the seller says, I'll give you 2.5%, and I'll give 2.5% to the buyer's broker if they give me a full price offer, but if they give me something less, I'd like to negotiate it. Or I'll give them 3 if it's full price and 2 if it's not. Or maybe I'll give them a bonus. I'll give them 4 if they bring me a full price offer, because we both know I'm asking too much for this property. I'll give them 4, but I'm only going to give them 2 if it's not full price. Whatever it is that they say, okay, doesn't matter. In that case, if the seller is offering, if they're going to negotiate it later or do it separately, or it's going to be a sliding commission like that, then you put your amount here, 3% for me, 3% for FRI, okay, which is yours. And then down here is where we would click this, and we would put in additional terms. We leave that blank, and we put in additional terms what the sliding scale is, or that seller wishes to negotiate all buyer brokerage compensations, okay, based on the offer. That's what we would put in additional terms. We go down to additional terms, and that's where we would put that. Seller wishes to negotiate buyer brokerage compensation based on the offer, okay? That's what we would put down there. So, but in this case, that's when the only time we would put 3 here is if they're either not offering compensation, which they can do that too. They can not offer compensation, right? Or they can do a sliding scale, okay? But if they're going to do a sliding scale, or if they wish to negotiate that, obviously we can't write that amount here. There's no reason really that we would do the seller is going to pay them 3% and me 3%. There's no real reason for that, because then they would just do this and do the 3% there, right? So that is how that works. What I have seen you guys do already, mistakes I've already seen you guys make, is put 3 there and then 3 here. What you've just done is give all 3% of your commission away. So if you're doing this 10A, this is the main reason I'm doing this tutorial right now. If you're doing this 10A at 3%, then this needs to be at 6% or whatever you've agreed on, okay? Make sure you do that. Otherwise, you have just promised to give away all 3% of your commission. I hope that makes sense. So this is going to be the traditional model. Let's make this 5, well, not 58. Let's make it 5, and then 2.5, whatever. Okay, that's whatever, 6 and 3, 5, 2, whatever it is, right? That is how we've always been doing it. That's still what 90% of your sellers are going to do. But we've already had sellers say, I'll pay you. We had a guy, one of our first ones we did after we changed this, the guy had a $1 million property, and he wanted to give our agent 2%, and he wanted to give 2% to the other side on a full price offer, 1% if it was less than full price. Okay, so in that case, you would do the 2% up here, which we just did in 8A, and we would do this, and then at the bottom, we would go down and write seller offers buyer broker, buyers broker 2% for full price offer and 1% for anything less than full price. Okay, that's good enough legalese for a listing agreement. Okay, and that's how it's done. Everybody understand? Now, we on all of our forms, we have arbitration marked out. On this form, again, a listing agreement is between a seller and the brokerage. So it does not go to the board if there's a dispute. It goes to an actual court of law. And again, you guys do not want arbitration if something goes to a court of law. Typically, the legal fees are more than it's worth. And this again, this is not legal advice. We're the brokerage, and we make this decision for ourselves. If you want to do this on your own, you can, but we do not think it's a good idea as a brokerage. I'm not giving legal advice. I'm giving brokerage advice. We don't think it's a good idea as a brokerage because in arbitration, nobody covers your legal fees. The losing side does not cover your legal fees. In a court of law, the losing side has to cover your legal fees typically. So if you're fighting over $10,000 here, and your bills are going to be $12,000, your legal bills for an arbitration, mediation, and all that stuff, it's typically not a good idea. And you'll go see a lawyer for a consultation, and they'll tell you, my fees are going to be more than you're fighting for. And you'll say, well, that's not worth pursuing. And you'll just have a sad face. So that concludes the listing agreement. I hope that covers any questions that you guys might have. And we will now open the floor to questions. People are raising hands anyway. Let's go, Ann.
Yes, sometimes instead of put seller agree to pay commission to buyer broker, I put buyer agent. Is it okay?
Yeah, that's, you shouldn't, but yes, I mean that's not correct, but it gets the point across. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because the seller can't pay a buyer's agent legally. They have to pay the buyer's broker, but that's fine. But in the future, just use that. If you already have that on a form, probably fine. Any other questions? I see the chat. People are talking. Can you scroll to the additional terms verbiage? Did I cover that already for you? Nope. Victoria, you did. Okay, great.
Yes, I'm copying the verbiage.
Okay, cool. Tom Dean.
Question, is this the form I would use to sell a company?
No, sir. No,
Okay.
sir. They do not have business brokerage forms on any of these realtor sites. You can talk to me later about that, but the best thing to do is Google those. They've got forms available that have been used before. You can Google just about any kind of form that you need for things that are not provided by FAR/BAR, by the Florida Association of Realtors and the Florida Bar. Again, I'll cover with you guys what I always tell you when I do these agreements that we're doing are very, very, why can people without legal degrees and without passing the bar write multi-million-dollar contracts that are completely binding when all you did was pass a 63-hour real estate class? And the reason is because the Florida Association of Realtors and the Florida Bar made this where anybody can fill it in. They just made blanks. We don't have to write a lot of legalese. We write, maybe one sentence at a time that is approved by our brokers. And that is why we can fill these out. So these forms have been written by the Florida Association of Realtors and the Florida Bar. They get together and hammer out these forms. They're not perfect, but they cover so many things that have gone wrong. All of these things that make this contract so long are because things that people have thought about before and they want to disclose them right away. Same reason we do HOA disclosures and stuff like that, because at least one time in the past, probably several times, someone sold someone a property and didn't tell them they couldn't park their work truck and that they owed $242 a month. And, all these things, they bought the property like, why am I getting a bill every month? I didn't know there was an HOA here. So people that are unaware of all kinds of things where you would think, somebody's taking care of this neighborhood. Obviously there's an HOA. There's a guard gate. Somebody has to pay them, but still you have to disclose all that stuff. Juan.
Hey, Ryan, all of this is the intention originally, especially these additional terms, but at the end of the day, whatever is here, everything is negotiable on any deal, right? So this is just their intention, but if I tell you I can close in 2 weeks, no loan contingency, for example, then the seller can increase it to 3% if he wanted to with a compensation agreement, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So or on the contract now. So I'll go over this. I just went over it on the other one where we did the compensation agreements. Everything is negotiable now. We used to be stuck with, I'm not stuck with this. Seller offers buyer's broker 2% for full price offer and 1% for anything less. If I want to give them an offer for this $1 million listing, listed for $1 million and I want to offer them 950 with me getting 3%, I can offer them that. And they can say no. Or they can say, well, make it 980 and I'll give you 3% or whatever, right? Yeah, everything's negotiable. That what they write on here is just the agreement that what I'm allowed to offer people.
Got it.
So my seller wants to offer this, but when you call me and say, hey, Ryan, I want to see 123 Main Street, and I'll say, all right, Juan, and you'll say, what are they offering? And I'll say 2% for full price and 1% for anything less. And you say, are they negotiable? And I say, I don't know. Why don't you send them an offer and see? But that's what I'm allowed to tell you based on this. Even if I know they're negotiable because somebody else already turned in an offer and they went through inspection and the guy accepted it and they were paying 3% for a full price offer instead of 2%. I can't tell you that, but I can tell you what they're offering on my listing agreement. I can't say, boy, I know he'll negotiate. I can't say that, but I can say 2% for full price and 1% for anything less. And when you say, is that negotiable? I'll say, I don't know, because I can't tell you. All right. Can't tell you what they've agreed to with someone else. When you fill out a contract, an offer for something, what is the most important term on that offer? Juan, what do you think?
Probably they want to know the commission.
No, on an offer. No. For a seller, if I make an offer to a seller, what's the most important term on the contract?
My God, to me are the terms, because I already know the price I want, but price is probably the number one, and also the term.
It was a trick question. There is nothing more important than anything else, and it's all in the eye of the seller, right? It might be that you said you'll close in 2 weeks. That seller, that might be the best thing they've ever heard in their life, right? That might be the most important thing to them. It might be that you only want a 3-day inspection period or no inspection period. We've all made offers for properties where they say, well, we won't give an inspection period, right? That might be the most important thing. But who knows what the most important thing to them? We don't know. Everything's negotiable. So it's kind of funny when I see things, commissions based on prices, because what if I give them a terrible offer, but full price with 40-day inspection and a 90-day close, right? And my financing period goes past the 90 days, right? So there is no term that's more important than the others. It's all in the eye of the beholder. Everybody's got a hot button that's more important than to other people. And those are the kind of questions that are great when you call a listing agent. If you want to be a good buyer's agent, you call a listing agent, say, what does the seller really want? What's their hot button? What's the most important thing to the seller? That's how you make a winning offer. And you can a lot of times save your client money by offering less money, but hitting the terms they want. And sometimes it's not money that your client wants to save. Sometimes your buyer doesn't want to save money. They want to have better terms, right? They need more time for whatever. They've got to sell their house in Virginia before they buy this one. And the most important thing to them is that they'll approve their sale of buyer's property addendum, right? Mm-hmm. So that might be the most important thing to your buyer, and they might not care that much about money. Yeah, I'll pay full price, but they might have to wait 45 or 60 days for me to sell this property. That might be the most important thing. And if I'm selling a house and I don't really care that I own it cash, I'm not paying mortgage on it, and I don't care if I don't move for 60 days or 90 days, that's fine for me. I'll take full price, right? So it's everything, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, as are the terms of a contract. So keep that in mind when you're representing your buyers and your sellers. Find out what's most important. If you guys want to win listing appointments, find out what's most important to your seller. Don't get in there and show them the same thing that Susie from Keller Williams showed them 30 minutes ago. Show them those same comps and stuff, but then talk to them about what's most important to them. Find out what their hot button is, and then find out how you can help them get that. That's how you win stuff, guys. That's how you make a living. So those kind of things are very important. And so I kind of laugh when I see these things, but I see, obviously sometimes like this seller, and this is a real example. This seller just wanted to win. He heard about this lawsuit, this NAR settlement, and he thought, well, I can start negotiating commissions, and he just wants to win a negotiation. He just wants to feel like he saved some money. A lot of times it's just that feeling like I saved some money or made some money, right? So everybody's different. Any other questions on this? All right, for those of you who stuck out all three of these with me, you guys have been fantastic, and most of you did, according to the numbers on the bottom of my screen. You guys have been fantastic, and I've really enjoyed this. Hopefully these are going to be very helpful for you guys. They're going to be on Paperless Pipeline. They're going to be on our YouTube, Paperless Pipeline under the reference tab. We're going to have the videos there. They're going to be on our YouTube. and hopefully pinned to the top so you guys can do this very easily when you do have questions or you need a refresher. And for the, we have over 1,000 agents and we had about 75 of you on these calls. So there'll be a lot of agents that this will be really helpful to who couldn't make it today. So hopefully that'll really help everybody. The puzzle's coming together. Great. Somebody asked a question in chat. Let me get to that. I thought I saw a question. Maria, if I switch to Thompson Brokerage, would all these forms be available? Yeah. Well, yes, of course. This is a transaction desk, which is part of your MLS, which you have on the Thompson Brokerage, and everybody has the paperless pipeline. So our Thompson has a different paperless pipeline. It's a whole different brokerage. All FRI, all the same resources will be on there, but it'll just be a different FRI or a different paperless pipeline that you log into. But everything is copied from one reference tab to the other. Any other questions? You're very welcome, you guys. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and this stuff will all be online for you and at your fingertips in the future. Thank you guys all for coming. Have a great day.
Thanks, Ryan.